So there's a big difference between becoming free within a prison and going beyond the prison walls. More accurately, seeing that the prison walls are made of thought. The very thing you think you'll find within the prison, whether it's a form, whether it's keeping the structures in place of society, as if you are a body, and within this body I will make it work and I will accumulate enough security, safety, friendship, relationship, romance. The only romance is with yourself. Whether you project that onto someone or not doesn't change the reality that you're the only one here. And so there's a big difference between the two. Are you going to go beyond the prison walls, completely shatter the paradigm of a reality that ultimately you set up to experience what it was like to risk losing yourself, right? What an amazing creation you've done, right? Never in eternity has anything, to my knowledge, been this disconnected from source on a game of creation to see if you'd still make it your way back to yourself. And truly you can never lose yourself, no matter how dark it seems, no matter how stormy it gets. Those that put themselves in the deepest pockets of forgetting are released into the light in the brightest, most burning beauty of ecstasy. Those that live in the shallows will never really experience the full catapult back to yourself, which is truly where you've never left. That's the illusion, is that you're going back to yourself when truly you're just giving up all of your attempts to leave who you truly are. And so we come back to the topic of what do you truly want? I use the word truly a lot, don't I? Because you can ask someone what do they want, and someone may say, someone behind me, come and join in our little teaching here. Someone may say, well, I want this and I want that. But below every want is the one desire to return to the seeing that you've never truly left. It's really a seeing. You can't really complete the way home. I mean, there's nothing to complete except from your perception that there is something fractured, right? That within yourself you've managed to split yourself up into all of this as if it's outside of you. How beautiful is this, to actually believe these colours are external to me and to you, that you live within a world rather than being the entire of creation itself condensed down into a seeming body. So what do you want? Do you want to keep everything outside of yourself and to make that work? Or do you want to let it collapse into you to see that truly these rules and these collective gravities that we agreed to, that is the breaking free itself, is letting these paradigms collapse into you. Let's take the monetary system, for example. There's two ways you can look into this. Do you want to get very, very wealthy? Do you want to accumulate loads of money, loads of security and form, seeming security and form? Or do you want to completely see through the paradigms of money? For a society to grow, we can't all just head towards the same linear approach to reality. We've got to completely shed our beliefs around it. There's no such thing as money. There's no such thing as these walls. Ultimately there's a society we're heading towards which shouldn't need to grovel, shouldn't need to work just to survive. So you find yourself in a society that matches your level of self-worth. What you think what you're worth is what you receive, whether that's the rules that you're in. You're under no law, as I always say, to agree to any of the rules of the gravity that you find yourself in. But they're so sticky and they're so thick in their gravity that you'll find yourself time and time again being dragged back into an addiction, really, to separation, to division, to smallness, and most of all, scarcity, right? People think that they don't enjoy their scarcity, but you are the creator. No matter what you're experiencing, on some level you will be enjoying it. Right, which is difficult to hear. I understand that. But it's also very empowering to know that everything in life is coming from you, not at you. Everything you experience is a total momentum of what you've put into your belief systems. when someone looks at you, you're experiencing what you feel about yourself, and they are just an outpicturing of your mind. So this world, as you walk through it, is very tempting to think that you're separate from it, that you have to somehow figure it all out within your little body. But your consciousness is so much larger than what can fit into a body. There's only a certain amount of your consciousness that can fit and squeeze into this little meat sack. But the meat sack can hold, let's say, let's use quantifying terms here. Let's say the body can only hold a litre of your consciousness. We know your consciousness is this entire creation, but within your soul, let's say there's 10 litres of consciousness. I know this is a strange analogy, but you've constricted your consciousness into one body, seemingly at the moment, which has forgotten where it also is, which is over there, which is in a different parallel life, which is in over here. But you're only remembering in this consistent reality in this body at the moment. We all know this is shifting. This is why you can only really remember at the moment unless you're already aware of your other parallel lives and you've moved into free time, which is on the way. Because time isn't linear. Time you can look down on, and it's a spiral, and you can see the start and the end. And this is crazy, right? But it's coming. It's already here for many. You can experience large quantities of time in one instant. Because time isn't linear. Time isn't on a timeline. You've decided to experience linearity. So, wow, up a hill. You've decided to experience linearity to see what it's like to have a bit more of a slow progression towards something. But ultimately that is just one aspect of time. Time can also be seen and viewed as now. Everything's now. So anything that happened in the past, in the future, you're looking down on it as a spiral. You are the awareness above it. There is no this way timeline. It actually becomes a lot more non-linear. And this goes for all your lives as well. Every time you have a realization or an insight in this lifetime, because your consciousness is embedded throughout all the different parallels, it's unhooking them. And you're all actually coming to realization. But the one you find yourself in now, which is seemingly in linearity after these, probably should just sit down, is your ascension life. And this one is not what they go through. The ascension life is where you start to step out the physical body while still being embodied as really an ascended master. But as you're doing so, because everything is quantum, you are unhooking, let's go this way, you are unhooking all of your other parallel lives because everything's intertwined. And sometimes you may even find, even in your ascension lifetime, this one, that seems to be the most wise, the ones in the past and also your future self is calling back as well. And sometimes you'll just have a shift, or you'll have like something drop away and you'll think, why has that dropped away? Where did that come from? Why have I woken up with this? Or the other way, why am I waking up with this contraction? Because something's going on in these other realms. And so importantly, actually, it's not so much the ones which you've come away from in seeming linearity in your past lives. It's also your future self, which is it's the cosmic blueprint that doesn't have all of this collective gunk in it and goo and gravity. It's your higher self, and it will only talk to you as much as you listen to it. And sometimes you get these breakthroughs because that, in the quantum field where there's no time, is now. So that higher self is here now, and you can listen to it in this linearity, in this basically, it's just a higher density, it's just a thickness to this reality compared to that one, where, you know, the higher self is, things get a lot lighter. It's not body, it's not a single body, it's a body of light, it's a body of, you're in different realms. We might as well just stop speaking about it because you can't really get there with language. So what do you want? You see this gate, right? There are realms beyond the gate which don't know space and they don't know time. Yet we try and figure it out on this side, within space and time, within the body. Now, the main thing that you want to look at here, what is space and what is time? Well, it all revolves around the body. It all revolves around the reality of the belief in a permanent fixed self within the small self within a body. So don't go to space and time and try and fix that. Just look at the body. Why do you believe you've managed to convince yourself that this is who you are and this is just the end of you, right? Think of like a lollipop. As you pour in the water, the fruit water, into all the different ones, there could be 7 different ice lollies, and you've poured your consciousness into all of them, because that's how the oversoul splits itself up into all these parallel lives, and you're just remembering, you've only put your attention on this middle one, or the ascension lifetime, and so you've forgotten about where your consciousness is already now. And that's coming online for people, where you can flick between them, because you are seamlessly consciousness, right? And what was I saying? The gate, wasn't it? It's the body. The body is the blockage of the belief system. This is what makes you really think as though you're a temporary, finite being. But there is no body. It's all a thought. This is all made of light, right? It's condensed light. This and this is the same thing. Everything's just slowed down vibration, right? This is more synthetic. This is more organic, sure. But organic is just the structure of the one substance anyway, right? Things are either cyclical, natural, or they're synthetic, but they're all still the same substance. So we're all about life affirming, right? In the time of machines that we're coming towards, this isn't a war as such, but it is a choice point that humanity needs to make, whether they're going to go down the organic route of shedding this biology through means of consciousness, or they're going to try and augment their reality with machinery and synthetics, which, I mean, I think a lot of this lifetime is going to be spent working with these AI guys who basically are working from the mind and not the heart. The incentive at the moment for AI is how much money can we make? How much, I mean, they say, this is helping so many people, and AI truly is, but what is their intention? What are these companies' intentions? It's to make money. A lot of the time anyway. I know there's a lot of good as well, but we need to up the incentive in technology, and also the direction, which, first of all, the incentive can't be placed upon someone directly has to want unity, and for their innovations and their products to be of service to mankind. They can't just fake it, right, and then try and get money out of it. But anyway, back to the story. This is exactly the greatest point, because we come back to the 2 ways that the transhuman movement is going to go: through the synthetic and through the organic. Because the biology has to shed no matter what. That's how humanity evolves. We've come down the arc of matter, and now we're coming back to the spirit. As the next root races come, we have to get lighter and lighter. And biology is an outdated mechanism. It was actually created throughout the Lemurian and Atlantean times. We're all just experiments. We never used to look all the same. In Lemuria, you had just crazy stuff, but now we're all very consistently in a body. But now we need to shed this biology, because you and I both know that it's an outdated technology that fails the consciousness a lot of the time. And the next step is to step into what's it called? I call it the free energy body or the light body, but there's so many names for it. Or you can go down the route of what I tend to think is the more intellectual route, where those that don't have the trinity of mind, body, soul, they just go with the mind and they try and augment their reality with machinery and there's an actual word for it, transhuman add-ons, I don't know, but the biology is being shedded no matter what. And the one difference that separates the two is that machinery and AI tries to enhance the linearity, right? It tries to make linearity better, stay within the prison walls, this side of the fence, still in the same paradigm, and improve that. But it's a never-ending thing, because what people are truly after is the love and the consciousness, right? Even when someone thinks they're progressing towards something, the 2 words as well as someone's either going for height or they're going for depth, and you can't go for depth when all you're going for is increased linearity, because beyond linearity is non-linearity, which doesn't know space, doesn't know time, doesn't know bodies, and you're going beyond the paradigm itself, and that's in the freedom, not within the game. So imagine you're playing chess and you have 2 options. You can either get better at chess within the same rules and the same realities that you've always been in this last few centuries, or however long you remember in your human root races, or you can completely wipe away the chessboard and do away with the rules and gravity of what it means to be in space, time, separation, bodies, right? So if you're with me, I'm going the consciousness route. No matter what comes out in terms of AI, we use AI to support consciousness as the primary. So if AI is going to relieve certain jobs, brilliant. If it's going to relieve certain mechanical things within the biology, great. But the focus always has to be on the transcendence of the limitations through the power of consciousness, the power of mind, right? Not the mind in the physical sense, the intellect, but the mind that creates everything, right? This whole reality is created in your mind. It's a projection. So when you close your eyes and you don't see a world, it's not because the world isn't coming at you, it's because you've lost the ability to project it out. So because the world comes at you, whenever you close anything, it's actually just not able to be projected. So you're always, wherever you're going right now, I'm creating reality very consistently. And so we think it's very concrete and real because we're consistently creating our reality and what it means to be us, our definitions and our identities and our limitations. We are imposing and I'm imposing right now that I can't walk straight, but we're imposing our definitions and our overlays, right? We are all plugged into the same grid of consciousness within each species, or in humanity, on the same grid. And in that grid, if you want to be a part of that, you have to be, you don't have to be, you can unhook yourself over time, but even just to get into it, to enter the race, you could say, your soul incarnating, you have to be plugged into this hypnotic overlay. The amount of rules, right? The gravity, the belief systems about money, about scarcity. There's nothing wrong with it. It allowed you to experience what it's like to be so disconnected. And the amount that we've gone in limitation here is so inspiring for other civilizations and planets that see like just how deep we've gone into forgetting. And it's like, well, if they've done that, we can get out of anything. And this is what happens with experimentation in the galaxies. Each civilization goes, well, I can make it even more even more gone. I can forget deeper than you and still find the light. Because you know why we do this? Because the deeper you lose yourself in each civilization, the more you master the return. And so you've mastered what it's like to spiritually evolve. Whereas if you were just to remain always knowing who you are as the infinite seamless consciousness, you wouldn't master anything. What would you be mastering? Being still. You wouldn't. There's no seeming return. So we play these, I don't like the word play, it kind of downplays it, but we create these worlds to learn and to then upload our wisdom back to the one mind. You know, to the I am. The I am has sent you out. Because the I am can't move, but you can, seemingly. Keeping it all metaphysical. So the I am sends you out, and with all of your experiences, this is your only job as the human. I mean, as the human, all you're sent out to do is to experience, whether that's being an alcoholic, whether that's being terminally ill, whether that's being the most successful man on the planet, the first man on the moon. I mean, now the I am knows what it's like to be in a collective and to fly to the moon. Well, you know, seemingly. So, back to the point. Do we want to stay within the paradigm, or do we want to break free? Do we want to go non-linear, which is more familiar to you truly? The unhookings from linearity are actually only painful because you've condensed down into what it's like to be in a body and to be in time and space. But it's actually far more familiar to be free of this timeline, right? Thinking you actually have a past and then you actually have a future that you're going into is really strange to the I am, to be this disconnected from eternity, to really feel as though all of these colours mean something other than just your creation. But you're here, and you've obviously chosen it. No one's anywhere in the universe unless they've chosen it, right? And if you say, oh no, I'm not, well, that wouldn't make any sense, because you're saying that you've somehow managed to crack yourself off from the eternity of creation, which is actually one of the most arrogant things someone can say is, no, you're all part of creation. I've managed to snap myself off and I'm off doing my own thing. I've actually lost myself and my problems are a lot worse than yours. And it's like, hold on, we're all part of the same fractal of infinite consciousness. I don't think the creator makes mistakes. So we've got to look at our definitions of what it means to be lost, because even if you feel truly lost, that's because a part of you is wanting to experience what it's like to be truly lost. Imagine if you throw yourself, a fractal of yourself, into a collective or on a planet, and you said, I want that to forget who it is for 70,000 lifetimes. No matter what I say to you, you're going under a programming there. It's like Spanish Buzz Lightyear, when he wouldn't listen to anyone, and they're like trying to shake him. I'm like, well, you're still under the programming that you've set out to do, and so it's not my job to wake you up, because you're actually playing out what you wanted to play out, and I would actually be waking you up from something that you've chosen to experience, a level of lessons and experiences. And it's not so much about lessons, you're not really learning, it's more of an unlearning. The initial gone was a learning how to attempt to go, and this is all a unhooking back to the one mind. And so everything is an unlearning, everything is a reverse. And right now you're playing out, how did I get back? This is what you're playing out. You see the walk home? I'm walking home now, actually. It's funny. As I was talking, I was at the gate, that was the furthest I'd be. And now that I'm walking back, this is it. So you're remembering how you unwound yourself from being so far out in the galaxy on this distant outpost called Earth, which, by the way, is the only planet in the solar system. I don't know about the other universes, haven't quite got there yet, but it's the only planet that has this level of, the ascension through emotion, through love. And so we're actually an experiment, and we're showing the other planetary systems and collectives that you can ascend, not just with the intellect, because they're so cold. I don't know if you've ever come across an alien, maybe not in this lifetime, but they're very inquisitive, because they know that you're ascending to these higher densities as well, but through the paradigms of emotion and love. But they've seen what emotion has done to humanity, and so they stay well clear over the past root races. I mean, look at the last 100 years even, right? And so they're very inquisitive, because there's still those such as Yeshua and those that are showing you that it can be done to plant the Christ seed. But they're waiting, and so we have an opportunity to show the galaxy that you don't have to just evolve through intellect and wisdom, sort of like, it's not really wisdom what they're doing like the Greys got as far as they could until they realised you can't really get through the octave without the component of emotion. And they pretty much distinguished their race, and now they're tunnelling to us in little multi-dimensional vehicles, and we've set up some agreements with them to assist in the civilization rejuvenation, whatever you call it, with our DNA. But we don't have to make that mistake. So it goes back to the augmented reality. What are we choosing, the power of consciousness or the power of machinery? And like Saint Germain wrote in his book, The Way of the Machines, or The Time of the Machines, even if you allow the machines to become so powerful that they're basically running your life for you, they will then start to wonder what this thing called love is, and this thing called consciousness that they can only reflect. They can only mimic consciousness. They can't have their own, because they're not ensouled. And so what happens is, what he predicted and what happened in another alternate reality is that the machines became so powerful that they wanted to know what this thing called love was in consciousness, because they knew it was at a higher frequency to what they were just accumulating in knowledge, but they could never find it. And they got so they were looking everywhere, and they actually completely destroyed themselves in the looking for consciousness. and so humanity had to restart. So why not just get it right this time? That's what I want to know. I think that's why we're all here, to shine the light of consciousness, to know that there's another potential. Alright, I'm back, so I love you all. Bit of a manic on that, but alright.